So right, I'm off out. We're going to talk about the final games of the season, the last 9 games, the run-in. How many wins out of the last 9 games do you think we can achieve? And let me know, is there any players that we've actually brought in the last summer and in this winter transfer window that were really sort of quality additions to the side? Let's do it. Let's go and have a chat. Here we go, back again with another video. And today we're going to chat about all things Sunderland to do with the games that are remaining to the end of the season. Barren land. And of course, the first game is on Saturday against QPR. For me, it's a must not lose match. So the first match on Saturday, Sunderland are at home to QPR. We've now lost 6 in a row. There have been some difficult games for Dodds, I must admit. It's not helped with, of course, suspensions and injuries, but like most teams, it happens to most teams. So it is a massive game against QPR. They did lose yesterday to Middlesbrough, who jumped above Sunderland. And QPR are on 39 points, 39 points, 1 point off relegation and 4th off bottom. So they'll be out for a victory, they'll need a victory. And it's a massive test for Sunderland on Saturday, a massive test. Dodds will have to pull out all the stops for this one. And if Ballard's injured, if Luke O'Nine's suspended, where do we go for the centre-backs? Well, we have to move Trey Hume to centre-back alongside Sealt and bring in Pembele in the right-back. That could be the way forward. But we do need a victory, a draw at worst. You know, we have to believe we can do it. As much, you know, of all the negativity going on around the club at the moment. I did say yesterday, you know, we have been cheap with players. And that's no disrespect to the players that come in. Because we all at decent levels. No matter what level the player is at Sunderland at this moment in time. Whether they're a Championship player, League 1 player, League 2 player, or end up being in the Premier League. They've all done well in their own circumstances. But I just say the recruitment of being cheap and buying these youngsters rather than buying experienced players. Look at Ipswich. They brought in quality players. Yes, they may not make it to the top 2 after the defeat from Cardiff yesterday, but they're giving it a damn good try. So I'm hoping Sunderland and Dodds can do the business at the weekend against QPR. Because for me, this is the game that could really make or break Sunderland's, you know, as in the confidence of the team. If we go and beat QPR on Saturday, then we'll definitely not be dragged into relegation battle. I still think we won't. I still think we've got enough even with the bet. I still think we've got enough even with the threadbare squad. So desperately hoping we can get a victory against QPR or a draw at worst. But I do fear the worst. It's a tough game. They'll be up for it. You know, they're in a relegation dogfight, QPR. We're not just yet. And I still believe we've got enough points in the bag to keep us in the Championship this season. And it's how we go forward in the summer. It'll depend how we play and do next season in my eyes. So let me know your thoughts on that game, Sunderland versus QPR. Oh, I cannot judge the game at the weekend. I've got a feeling we'll get beat, personally. But I'm hoping somehow we can get a win. Or like I said, even a draw at worst. Then we move on to Cardiff. Cardiff next. Cardiff are in fine form. Imagine if we did lose against QPR. We go down to Cardiff. Wales. They beat Ipswich yesterday. They're in fine form. They've jumped above Sunderland. 4 or 5 points ahead of Sunderland now. Cardiff beating Ipswich, scored in the 94th minute and the 99th minute yesterday, or was it 100 minutes? God knows how many minutes it was. But they did well beating Ipswich, turned the tables around on them. Ipswich looked bankers to win that game going into injury time. So Cardiff is a difficult game, and going down to Wales, imagine. But like I was saying, I still think we've got enough points in the bag. But will we beat Cardiff? I cannot see us beating Cardiff down there personally, especially with the injuries. I just hope Ballard's okay, touch wood. In hindsight, maybe he should have come back on the pitch yesterday. Once the injury happened, he should have went off. Maybe we should have put Trey Hume as centre back. And Yilder left him at left back and put Pembele at right back. All lifts and puts and maybes. So there's two hard games coming up, QPR and Cardiff. Can anybody see a victory out there? Let me know your comments down below. Let me know. Are we going to beat QPR? Are we going to beat Cardiff? Still a long way to go to the end of the season. A long old road ahead. A long journey ahead for the Sunderland fans and Sunderland players. And hopefully we can get a victory on Saturday. There's a really good article in the Sunderland Echo today. Don Goodman is saying KLD needs to reassess his strategy going forward in the future. About the dismal decisions that's been made since Christmas. Getting rid of Tony Mowbray. The decision to get rid of Tony Mowbray. When we got a top 6 last season, and this season we're falling away drastically. So yes, Don Goodman even says we need to reassess. KLD needs to reassess what he's done this season for the future. So after the Cardiff game, we move on to 2 home games. Bristol City at home and Blackburn at home. So Bristol City have just recently beaten Swansea today 1-0 and moved level on points with Sunderland, and Blackburn drew 1-1 with Plymouth yesterday. So what's your thoughts on the 2 home games? Hopefully we can get a result out of those 2 home games, which will definitely not drag us then into a relegation battle. 2 tough home games, but I reckon we can get 1 win out of those 2. Actually, I'm pretty confident we can do the business by then. But let me know your thoughts down below. Out of those 4 games, any victories coming up? Can you see any victories on the horizon? So yep, they're the 4 games. QPR, Cardiff, then Blackburn and Bristol City. If we get 1 win out of those 4, then we'll be laughing. But if Clark's out for the rest of the season and Ballard's out for the rest of the season and we don't see Roberts, I'll take 1 win out of those 4 games right now. I'll snap your hands off, because it starts to get difficult after that. Leeds away, West Brom away. We'll get nothing from those 2 games. Them 2 teams are on fire. Well, let's hope by the last 3 games we haven't dropped down the table too much, because there's 1 or 2 battles left. So with the 3 games to go, Millwall at home, Watford away, Sheffield Wednesday at home. There could be 3 right old ding-dong battles. And is this young side up for a fight? So yeah, let's hope it doesn't get down to any kind of relegation battle. And hopefully we'll get a victory or 2 before it gets to the nit and gritty of the season. And we'll be safe as houses. But we've got a tough few games ahead. You know, I'm hoping Ballard's not going to be out for too long. But if he's out, that's a massive, massive miss. Maybe it's time for Job to be rested as well. You know, he's been playing game after game after game after game. He gave away a dodgy mistake in the box yesterday, but scored a wonder goal. He has got moments of brilliance in him. But for me, he's had a few poor games. He goes missing for long periods of time. And he could be one that will flourish next season. But I think this season, he needs a bit of a break now. I think Joe will be more effective coming off the bench. Yes, and he's one of the players we have spent some money on in the transfer window. We didn't go cheap with Job. He's the one player we didn't. But we all know the reason why. With the reputation of his family, Jude, the name alone. Plus, yes, he's a good player. No doubt about it. We don't know how far this lad can progress, but we do know if he does improve, he'll be worth the cash. And KLD and Speakman like pound signs. So for me, that's the reason they took a gamble on spending a lot of money on Job. Because there could be a good reward in the future. So there we go anyway. I thought I'd have a little bit of chat about the last few games of the season. You've got to look up and you've got to think positive and hope we don't get dragged into any kind of relegation scrap. Hopefully we've got enough boards on the board, enough points on the board. But it's a game of opinions. It's just my opinion. It is my opinion. My opinion is we've got too many kids in the side, not enough experience. It was a drastic mistake letting Mowbray go without having a better replacement. Selling Pritchard, selling Danny Bart, selling, likes of Gooch. Get their number right down to under 20, average of 22 in the team. But now with no experience, we can see it's lacking game in, game out. And yeah, you know, at the moment we're in free fall. I'm hoping somehow we can make the team that's worse and we can beat them. But I'm really, really worried about the QPR game on Saturday. Pardon me. And I completely agree with Don Goodman. So let me know your comments down below. Like I said, it's your opinion, it's my opinion, game of opinions. I'm not always right. You know, sometimes I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. But I'll share it with you, Scoobies. Take care, God bless me, God go with you. We'll see you next time. Cheers. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. If you don't enjoy the content, then I don't know really why you're watching. But I appreciate it. See you later. Finally back. Let's quickly chat about the article in the Sunderland Echo. It's a good article from James Copley, who has his own YouTube channel. Check out James's YouTube channel. It is to do with Don Goodman. What he says, he makes a lot of sense, ex-Sunderland striker. Sunderland FC's news pundit calls for Curry Lewis Dreyfus reflection and gives reflection relegation verdict himself. Don Goodman has spoken about Sunderland's recent woes under the club's current hierarchy. Former Sunderland striker and Sky Sports pundit Don Goodman has called for reflection from Sunderland's hierarchy. The Black Cats lost their sixth successful league game after succumbing to a 4-2 defeat to promotion-chasing Southampton at St Mary's on Saturday, with the Weir side is now closer to the relegation spots after the playoffs. Closer to the relegation spots than playoffs. Wow, I'm freezing cold, just starting to get warm. But yes, after Christian Speakman did say at the end of last season, they want to go for the top two this season. What a pile of shite. What a pile of shite. You know, reducing us to bits of kids. And yes, there is some good players amongst the Sunderland side. Some players that will never make it to the playoffs. Some players the Premier League. Some players that will make it to the Premier League. Some players that are bang average Championship players. And some players that will not even be good enough in League One. But regardless what level they become, like I said before, they've done well in their lifetime to make it to this level, so well done. But for Sunderland to promote, Sunderland to get up to the top two in the Championship, we need better in my opinion. We need better players in my opinion. We need quality, experienced players to help nurture some of these youngsters through. If we want to be ambitious and go for the top two or even top six in the Championship, we have to do better in recruitment. And Speakman has to do better. If it was my club, Speakman wouldn't be here at all. I'd give him his marching order, simple as. But that's just my opinion. Goodman, though, called for Sunderland's hierarchy to reassess their strategy after a number of costly decisions this season, hampering the club after a top six finish last season, under coach Tony Mowbray. Speaking, Goodman said, Sunderland's board have pretty much said we've messed up so badly that we have blown our playoff chances. It's an acknowledgement of their mistake and putting Mike Dodds in charge as an attempt to stabilise. I think they are out of the relegation battle, despite never thinking I would ever say that. But Sunderland are out of the playoff race as well. They are a young group that needs some help from experience. Don Goodman says this. This is not just me. Someone like me who has a YouTube channel. Someone like me who has no experience playing football at that level. Of course I haven't. I'm just someone who loves the club, who speaks me mind and say it the way it is. But when someone like Don Goodman says this, who's been there at Sunderland and done it, he says Tony Mowbray was refused experience, allegedly. They are a young group that needs some help from experience, which is what Tony Mowbray was refused. He was being refused what he wanted to progress this club higher. So he was let go. It wouldn't be fair to say Sunderland have capitulated, but it's the type of games they have lost in a sequence which is disappointing. They were on the periphery of playoff spots and lost to Birmingham, Huddersfield and Swansea. Even if you're the most stubborn member of Sunderland's hierarchy, you have to reflect and say, we made a mistake. You know, we should have stuck with Tony Mowbray. Who knows where we would have been in the summer? There was a good feel factor around the place. There was. Let's make no bones about it. You know, we can say yes. You know, the team did sort of slip under Tony Mowbray. Yes, we lost a bit of form under Tony Mowbray. But Mowbray was asking for experience. He was asking to be backed in the transfer window, and he was refused that. So, for me, it is failings from the ownership and Speakman that let Mowbray also drop down the table a little bit because he wasn't backed in the transfer. Simple as he wasn't. You know, you can come on here and say what you want with your comments, whatever you want. You know, I'll read them all. I'll disagree with some and I'll agree with the majority of his. But Tony Mowbray was not backed in the transfer window. Speakman did not back Tony Mowbray. One of the reasons why the form dipped, in my opinion, and has dipped ever since. Speakman got it wrong. KLD's got it wrong. I agree the form dipped under Mowbray, but it is also to do with the lack of sort of help from Speakman in the transfer window that led to that. And we've getting worse ever since. And he's right, there was a good feel factor. There was a good feel factor at the club under Mowbray, the football we were playing. Wasn't perfect, of course it wasn't, but Mowbray's hands were tied when it came to losing Bart. His hands were tied with Gooch and obviously Pritchard eventually. And eventually, if you don't replace the experience with experience and you're left with a bunch of kids, if the kids are just not ready, this is where it ends up being. So, in my opinion, there's got Don Goodman spot on. They've got to reassess the whole situation at the club, adjust the model. Put your hands up, admit you've made a mistake and adjust the model. Some people can't see the wood for the trees. Some people are just stubborn. They'll keep on going the way they're going. In my opinion, if we keep doing what we're doing, with no experience, we'll be in a relegation battle next season. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate everybody's comments, whether they agree with me or not. I do. But it's a game of opinions. Take care. God bless me. God go with you. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you later on in the week. Much appreciated. Cheers.